Just imagine, a man wakes up in the middle of the night. There's something in his hand, mischief in his eyes, and his intention? Completely certain. Within just a few minutes, a flagpole was lying on the ground, a car had been damaged, and a $500 loss was about to come out of someone else's pocket. But the most shocking part was this. 6 days earlier, that same man had openly said it would happen. A witness heard it. It was recorded in a police report. And now that man was standing in front of Judge Judy, acting completely innocent. So the question is, can Judge Judy be fooled too? Let's find out. But before we do, if you enjoy videos where the truth comes out, liars get exposed, and justice is served, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video, because this case will keep you on the edge of your seat from beginning to end. Stay with us. A place dreary v'everyone. This mobile home park was one of those places. Nearly 400 homes, so close together that the smell of food from one house could drift into the next. Narrow streets, golf carts, constant encounters, familiar faces everywhere. People here were used to knowing what was happening in everyone else's lives. And whenever someone did something unusual, something that caught everyone's attention, the entire community reacted. The plaintiff, Mr. Kohaliski, had lived in this park for 7 years. Quiet, respectful, kept mostly to himself. His home sat right near the main entrance of the park. The defendant, Mr. Shizapanowski, had been part of this community for 15 years. A military veteran, a man of strong principles, someone who loved his country and never hesitated to speak his mind. Both men lived in the same park, but their worlds were completely different. And then one day, an upside-down flag came between those two worlds, and everything changed. DHE-DAA, everything changed. To understand this story, we need to go back a little. At the beginning of January, Charles, the plaintiff's partner who lived with him, became the victim of an accident. Another neighbor struck him with a golf cart. This was no small matter. A vehicle had hit a person. The police arrived. A report was filed, but no one was arrested. The case was closed as an accident. Just imagine, you suffer harm in your own neighborhood, at the hands of your own neighbor. The police do nothing. No one seems to care. What would you do? Charles and his partner made a decision. They raised the American flag upside down on their flagpole. It was a protest. It was a message, a cry from people who felt they were not being heard. According to the U.S. flag code, an upside-down flag can be flown as a signal of distress. Their home, their flag, their right. But not everyone was willing to accept that right. Different opinions in The Park. As the days passed, that upside-down flag became like a thorn in the side of the community. Some people directly asked, "Why is it upside down?" Some spoke to Charles. Others spoke to the plaintiff. Even the man who lived directly across from them asked about it. This wasn't just one or two people. The entire community was talking about it. Nearly 400 homes. And the atmosphere was becoming increasingly tense because of that flag. But there was one man whose anger stood above everyone else's. One man who seemed more bothered than anyone else. And one day, instead of talking, he made a threat. January 20th, he encounter. January 20th. Kores Kochik, a longtime neighbor, was visiting Charles at his home. The two were sitting on the patio. It was a normal afternoon. Sunny, quiet. Then they noticed a golf cart approaching. The driver stopped near a stop sign. He looked directly at Charles. And the words that came out of his mouth were heard clearly by Kores herself. "If you don't turn that flag right side up, that pole is coming down. Direct. Clear. No confusion. No misunderstanding." This wasn't a request. It was a warning. And Kores remembered every word. Because very soon, those exact words would be repeated in court. DHE defendant side OF, DHE story. Now let's hear the defendant's version of events. Because this is where the real drama begins. When Judge Judy asked him about the incident, he claimed he had only spoken politely. He said he simply asked why the flag was upside down. He said he merely requested that it be turned the right way. Like a gentleman. No threats, no anger. Just a concerned neighbor. But Judge Judy noticed something that many people might have missed. There was a witness. Someone who had no personal interest in the case. Neither on the plaintiff's side, nor the defendant's. She was simply there. She heard the words. And she repeated those words in court. Now there were two versions of the story. One version described a polite request. The other described a direct threat. And only one of them could be true. After January 20th, 6 days passed in silence. The flag remained exactly where it was, still upside down, still waving in the wind. The defendant did nothing publicly. But perhaps something was happening beneath the surface. Then came January 26th. It was early morning. The darkness of night had not fully disappeared. A storm was moving through the area. At approximately 5:20 a.m., someone began pounding on Charles's door. Charles rushed outside, and what he saw became an image he would never forget. The flagpole had been cut down, not broken, not accidentally damaged. Cut down, deliberately, in the darkness of the night. And when it fell, it crashed directly onto Charles's car. The damage was real, serious. And the $500 insurance deductible would have to come directly out of his pocket. DHE, Paulus, Rayport, and OON name. The police arrived. Photographs were taken. A report was filed. And when the investigating officer asked, "Do you suspect anyone?" the plaintiff didn't hesitate. He immediately mentioned the name of the man who had said 6 days earlier that the pole would come down. The police report stated, Kohaliski was not certain who committed the act, but he indicated that one neighbor had been particularly upset about the flag, and he suspected that individual. It was an honest statement, not a direct accusation, just a suspicion that seemed logical given the circumstances. But in court, suspicion alone is never enough. Juge Judy's Ejais Eys. When both parties appeared in court, Judge Judy listened carefully to everything. The witness testimony, the police report, the plaintiff's story, the defendant's story. Then she did what has made her famous for decades. She asked a question that brought everything to a halt. Do you think he was the only person upset about that flag? Or were there others? The plaintiff admitted that other people had also questioned the flag. One of them was even the man living directly across the street, which meant there were multiple people who disliked it, which meant, logically speaking, the defendant was not the only possible suspect. Judge Judy looked directly at the parties and delivered what became the heart of the entire case. If I lived in that park and someone was flying an American flag upside down, I wouldn't like it either, but I wouldn't do anything about it, because it's their right. The First Amendment. Free speech. Whether you like it or not, they have that right. Then she paused. But nobody has the right to cut down that pole. VHE defendant's counterclaim. Twist after twist, twist, twist. Then came the moment when it seemed the defendant might finally gain some ground. He had filed a counterclaim. First, he claimed that police officers had disturbed him early in the morning and harassed him. Second, he claimed that photos of him and his wife had been posted online. Their faces had been marked with large X's. They had been labeled dumb, publicly humiliated. The photographs were presented in court. Judge Judy examined them. They were offensive, unpleasant, clearly inappropriate. But then she asked a question that completely changed everything. Who posted these pictures online? The defendant answered, Charles did. Judge Judy looked back at the police report. No, Charles didn't post them. His partner did. And the plaintiff standing before the court was not that partner. You cannot punish one person for the actions of someone else. For a brief moment, confusion crossed the defendant's face. Then Judge Judy made it perfectly clear. If those posts are objectionable, bring the correct person to court. The man standing here is not responsible. VHE, final verdict, and VHE line everyone remembered. Silence filled the courtroom. Then Judge Judy delivered her decision. The plaintiff's claim was dismissed, not because the defendant definitely didn't cut down the pole, but because it could not be proven. There is no doubt that someone cut down the pole. It could even have been you. I don't know. But in court, proof matters. Suspicion does not. The defendant's counterclaim was dismissed as well. The police had every right to investigate. The plaintiff had every right to be suspicious. And the online posts? The defendant had sued the wrong person. The defendant responded with a slight smile and thanked the judge. The plaintiff remained silent. And as she so often does, Judge Judy summarized the entire case in a single sentence. I am dismissing this case because there is no proof. That's the only reason. Do you understand? VHE question that remand. The case was over. Both parties walked out of the courtroom. But some things remained unresolved. An upside-down flag that had been raised by someone seeking justice. A flagpole that had been cut down in the darkness of the night. A damaged car. And $500 that would never be recovered. Was justice served? Legally speaking, perhaps yes. But if you listen to your instincts, that threat, those 6 days, that stormy morning, was it really all just a coincidence? You decide. Now I tease your turn TOBE. Tell us in the comments, do you think he cut down the pole? And if you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because we have many more stories where the lies are even more cunning, the twists run even deeper, and Judge Judy's courtroom becomes even more intense. We'll see you in the next case. And trust us, this one was only the trailer.